In this video, we're going to be talking about how to stay organized. Everyone's way of organization is going to be a little bit different, but really there are some things that are just really general that everyone should do. So here are some general rules to help you figure out your own organization. Number one, you need an agenda or a planner, whatever you want to call it. I don't care if you have the best memory in the world. I don't care if you won a memory competition. You need to have an agenda and you need to keep it up to date. You are going to need to go through your syllabus at the beginning of the semester, and you are going to write in there such and such assignment is due that day. Such and such reading is due that day. Every assignment, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant, immediately goes into that agenda. If it's a big assignment, then I put it on its due date, and I also go a week ahead of that and say such and such is due next week. My agenda is upstairs and I'm lazy, so I'm not going to use it. Okay, we're going to use this. So let's say I have a psychology test on this day, right? I'm going to go ahead of my agenda, and on this date, I'm going to put psychology test next week. And you know, it's not usually going to look like this, right? Because you're going to have like a weekly calendar or something like that. So that's how you don't have to flip to the next page to see that you have a big assignment coming up. Any events that you may want or need to attend gets written in the agenda as well, okay? That's not only like homework assignments, that's also like, hey, I want to go to this sporting event. Hey, I have a sorority meeting. And what you're going to do is you're also going to put the time and the location of that event. That way you don't have to look it up. You don't have to text and ask somebody. Once you know that you need to be at that meeting, then you ask, okay, what time do you want me to be there? And you take out your little agenda and you say, this meeting, what time? At 10, where? The sorority house. Got it. And then it's all right there. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to text anyone. It's just all right there. Okay? We're looking for cheat sheets. We're looking for ways to not spend as much energy as we can. Really, these tips and tricks are how to be lazy in college and still be on the ball. This agenda should go with you everywhere. And you're like, everywhere? I'm like, everywhere. Okay. It should be one of the staples in your backpack. It should go with you to every class, every study session, every thing that you can think of. Okay? If you take your backpack with you, it's there. Using that agenda, you're going to create a to-do list. Okay? And this to-do list can be on everything. Everything and anything. I've written to-do lists on my hand. I've written them on Post-its. I constantly write them on Post-its. You can write it on a napkin. You can write it in a journal. You can write it on the side of your agenda. You can write it, I don't know, on your friend's forehead. I don't care where you write it as long as you have one. The whole point of this is so that you don't have to remember anything. So if you hear anything, you write it down. Don't count on your brain remembering that. Write it down. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your agenda and you're going to create what's kind of called a master's list or a weekly list, right? You open your agenda up. You say, okay, I have this due on Monday, this due on Tuesday, this due on Wednesday, this due on Thursday, this due on Friday. Okay. And then you're going to use that list and you're going to transfer the things that you really need to get done that day. And you're going to make a smaller to-do list. You should write the smaller to-do list at the beginning of the day that you want to get that list done. You should write your master to-do list at the beginning of the week. So on Monday, you're going to create 2 lists. one is going to be your master's, one is going to be your daily. Okay? You should add to that smaller list, and if you need to add to the master list, go ahead and do it. But you should add on to that to-do list all the time during the day. It's completely normal. If you say like, oh, I should do, or oh shoot, I haven't done this, or I need to do this when I get home, you write it down. You should transfer everything that you have in your agenda, which should be any assignments, any events, any obligations, all of that should be transferred into your master's list. And that what you need from your master's list should be transferred into your to-do list. Every single itty bitty thing that you can think of that you need to get done should go on that list. And I'm not even talking about events and assignments, although those should be on there. I'm talking like, I need to do laundry, or there are these plates that have been in my sink for forever, or I can't remember the last time I went grocery shopping. I also recommend having a way to mark priority. Okay, so on your daily list, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many I have, and I'll basically just order them in from importance. Okay, so anything big that is due that day is going to get done first. Anything small that is due that day is going to get done next. Anything big that's due next week is going to get done next, and so on and so forth. And it's going to follow the priorities list that we went over when we talked about how to balance your life. Okay, so both of those lists should coincide. Okay, moving off of to-do lists, let's talk about places that you don't need clutter. You really don't want clutter in any of these places. The first one is the biggest one. You don't want clutter in your mind. If you have something that randomly pops into your mind, if you have a thought that just won't leave you alone, sit down, write it down, and then it's out. It's out. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to stress over it. If you write it down, then you can make sure that that doesn't affect your concentration, and you don't have to use any energy trying to remember that thing. The second place that should never be cluttered is your desk. And I say this, and if my college roommate is watching this, she is laughing her head off, because my desk was always cluttered. Just always. It was a dumping ground, right? And we can easily fall into that. I don't want you all to, because when you have a clean space to do your homework, it makes your homework so much better. There are studies that say that a clean desk leads to a clean mind, which leads to a clean homework assignment. Okay? So having a clean environment free of clutter means less distractions. It means less energy spent on looking past the clutter to what you want to be focusing on. It makes your life easier to not have things cluttering up your desk. The last one is kind of weird, and it's our last tip, but I want to make sure that this gets heard and you know that you need to schedule this in. You need to schedule in self-care. And I don't care what it is. If you want to take a bubble bath, great, take a bubble bath. If you want to sit and read a book for fun, if you want to watch Netflix, fine. This is your 1 hour that you know every week you're going to get. And that falls into our priorities, that falls into your health. So that's the highest priority. That's never going to get moved. You're always going to have that 1 hour to yourself. And that gives you the ability to know that you'll have time for yourself, to know that you